Story 1. Get rich quickly like a snake oil salesman. Become a sex therapist and guru teaching the ways of touchless orgasms. Convince people that it's a skill anyone can learn and charge a large amount of money to teach them. Rake in the money. Write a bestseller. Go on the news shows where they try to disprove a scammer. Surprise Piers Morgan on live television. And shortly after fade from the public eye and retire on an island somewhere. Story 2. I would definitely use it on politicians, especially during presidential debates, but it would be interesting to hide the finger gun because if someone sees that, you're going to get beaten by security. Story 3. I would make full use of that. Say good morning to me? I will point and shoot and give you a good morning. Want to be rude to me in traffic? Enjoy driving with a mess like this. Upset with me at work? Try being upset with this. Give me my order at the drive-thru? You have a great day too. If you know what I mean. Pew, 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 pew to everyone. Story 4. Slightly disappointed I can't make people poop themselves. I'd be by the finishing line of the marathon doing my best to make sure nobody can cross the line. Story 5. With great power comes great responsibility. There is also this girl at work who struggles to finish to the point it is painful. I would probably help her out. Story 6. Wonder if I could kill someone via orgasm if I point at them and say, pew, 20 times fast. I could probably get employment as a torturer for hire. Give me the information, or I'm going to make you climax 100 times in a minute. Story 7. What if I just want to edge them for a while? I want to point my finger and say, ka, and have it take them to the edge. I can say, ka, as many times as I want and keep them on edge, but they get no release until I say, pow, or maybe say, pew, but they don't release until you stop pointing at them. Not sure which one I like better. Constant pointing would get old. Story 8. Man, I would stop wars with that. Make the world a better place. Make it work on television or Zoom. If Darth Vader can choke someone on Zoom, I want to make people come on Zoom. I am the most influential diplomatic force in the world. Story 9. Use it as a tool to condition individuals to do it automatically when they perform certain mundane actions, like opening a jar, or when they say welcome to. Story 10. What is the power of the orgasm? Is it just a mild orgasm, or is it incredibly powerful and causes their body to spasm and maybe cry a little? Also, how long does it last? Story 11. I guess I would use it by pointing my finger like a gun and saying, pew. I mean, you were pretty definitive about how the power is used, were you not? Story 12. Whole new definition of finger blasting my wife. Something big iron on my hip. Yee, and I cannot stress this enough, I would call my wife cowpoke at least once. I'd go full Spider-Man 3 in public. I can go on. Story 13. I'd be rich. Make a small cult following and take all their money. Only thing is, it's not a scam. Imagine the amount that old people would pay to get that feeling again. Story 14. Bottom of the 9th. Score is tied 5-5 with the bases loaded. 3-2 count. The batter steps up to the plate and here's the windup, and what the heck? Folks, I'm not sure how to describe this, but the pitcher just threw one of the worst fastballs I've ever seen directly into the ground in front of him and then started frantically grabbing at his, you know what? The runners are advancing and the catcher is scrambling for the ball, which is sitting on the turf mere feet in front of the pitcher's mound. What on earth is going on here? Well, there's the winning run, and it's now a foot race with the man who was on second to get to home, and the pitcher is still out there dancing and grabbing himself. I tell you, folks, baseball is a wild, wild game. You never know what to expect. Story 15. I'd use it to embarrass extreme homophobes like the Westboro Baptist Church. Rock up to their rally carrying a saucy calendar of conventionally sexy, ripped men. As soon as the Westboro men look at it, pew. I want them to be confused and scared without any of the fun pre-orgasm buildup. I want their wives to think they are gay. I want them to wonder if they are gay. I kind of hope they'd be a bit more understanding that sexual preference isn't a choice. Story 16. I go to all the old war veterans that are probably too old to still get it up and send them the ultimate care package. Thank you for your service. Pew. Story 17. There are quite a few sports where continually being able to distract your opponent at a crucial moment would be a significant advantage. I might not be the best high jumper, pole vaulter, or javelin thrower in the world, but if everyone else in the competition makes mistakes from an involuntary reaction, I'm going to have a good chance to win the event. Story 18. I am, sadly, an elected official responsible for presenting and justifying a budget to a town annually at a town meeting. Inevitably, people who have been disengaged from the entire process ask questions that have been answered so many times it's not even funny, and then want an in-depth explanation in this public forum. Others spread outright lies to try to sabotage the budget. I would make these folks stop while they are at the microphone in the middle of a gymnasium with 300 to 400 other neighbors. Story 19. I would hop on a densely populated railway that travels through as many cities as possible and hold my finger pointing out the window. Alternatively, I would take a flight across the country and just repeat pew 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 while pointing my finger at the most obviously populated areas. They would call it the day of the five-fingered rapture. Story 20. I would become an Olympic sprinter or boxer or some other kind of competitor. Then I would dominate my competition. Or I would be a sports bettor and dominate the team or player I bet against. Story 21. Probably be a weird mashup of a motivational speaker and sex worker. Imagine what you could charge per seat to fill an audience when word gets out that you'll get an interesting talk that ends in an orgasm. Story 22. It's called persistent genital arousal disorder, which makes you climax every minute or couple of minutes of the day. You might think it would be enjoyable, but it's not. I'm not speaking from experience, but I've met people who have had it. Story 23. So in Canada, we have this thing called question period, where members of parliament get to ask government ministers questions. They are either massive softballs designed to make government ministers look good, or they are super loaded and designed to do the opposite. It is all televised and anyone can get a ticket, for free, to go watch live in person. So yes, I would go visit Ottawa and have a blast at question period. Story 24. Pavlov's women I find attractive are associated with a good time. Any man who says they wouldn't use it this way is either lying or hasn't thought of it. Story 25. Definitely get rich with some scam orgasm company for a while and definitely on random people. I don't know, like, are we bad people? I instantly thought of terrible things. What if you're trying to impress a girl and every time she talks to you she has an orgasm? She'd definitely fall in love. Story 26. Make certain women orgasm every time I talk to them. Make them think they are unexplainably attracted to me. So for evil purposes. Yes, just evil. Never give anyone superpowers. It will immediately get evil. Story 27. I'd start a business catering to women who've never had a proper orgasm. Literally have it set up like a spa experience. Get their nails done, a massage, etc. Then the grand finale. Story 28. Pew 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 pew. Pew, 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 pew. Story 29. Everyone here saying they would use it for people being rude. Don't you realize what you would be doing? Making positive associations. I was rude to this coworker and then I came. Let me do that again. Story 30. I could start a cult and tell everyone that I have the power to connect them to God, and suddenly you get an orgasm. Then grow my cult to take over Earth completely and be the leader of the whole planet. Then I would work on fixing everything wrong with the planet. Story 31. That ability would be great at sporting events. Your team down a bit, the batter has it there and oh, talk about bringing a new element to international chess. This would do the trick. Story 32. I would walk through places where some people do not have an opportunity for sex as much as they need. Old folks' homes, long-term veteran hospitals, sanitariums, disabled people's facilities, etc. Story 33. I would use it during presidential debates. Every time a candidate wouldn't actually answer a question, they'd get the point. If asked a yes or no question and they go off on a rant, point. Also, there's a series on Hulu called Extraordinary, And one of the character's powers is that he makes people orgasm just by touching them. His story about having to give his dad CPR was hilarious. Story 34. Pew pew. Story 35. Well, you don't specify pointing at them directly, so I'm going to assume it works just by thinking about them. It would not be pretty, basically like a death note but with a twist. Story 36. Trolling politicians. They jabber on about something they only pretend to have a functional knowledge of, bam. Making stupid campaign promises they will never attempt to fulfill, bam. Pretty much anything besides genuinely attempting to make the country a better place, bam. Assuming this worked through the television. I'm sure that this could be used for evil, but a little public humiliation for a group of people who could use a little humility is where I draw the line. And of course, to keep my girl happy using pre-established consent rules. Story 37. I get really annoying bar guests that I just don't want to talk to, or they're bad energy for the building, or they're rude. And if I could repeatedly make them leave while sitting there, it would get them out of the building and out of my way. Story 38. One person in mind. I would follow him and honestly just make it pop off at the worst times for him. Dinner with a new date? You are not making it past the appetizer. Need a new license? That picture is going to be priceless. Giving your mom a hug after not seeing her for a year? Yep. Story 39. I would stand near a roller coaster at a theme park and photograph the riders. They will go on for the rest of their lives thinking the coaster gave them an orgasm. Story 40. I would often visit groups of lonely and desperate people and secretly make them all happy, just like a kid playing cowboys and robbers. Pew, 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 ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Machine gunning them all into heaven. Story 41. I would use it to end arguments. I would use it to create goodwill. Every time a specific person sees me, they experience intense pleasure. And I would use it to make money by selling this experience to those who have trouble achieving it. Story 42. It would be very difficult to operate a Gerald Ford supercarrier and its flight if the entire crew is repeatedly distracted. I would use the power to destabilize the United States and place myself on the American throne. It only works on one person at a time, you say? That's the beauty of refraction. View through a lens and you view everybody. Take over the media, view everybody into their ecstatic submission. Once everybody is under my power, I can finally introduce my utopian solution and make everybody free of want. Story 43. Weather reporters on the day following a bad weather prediction, and only while they are standing in front of their weather map. Standing ovation face for the win. Story 44. Right after a favorable rational argument or discussion. Imagine being on the winning end and cranking on your opponent. A form of conditioning, I guess. Story 45. Given the sound effect, it might work better to make them crap their pants. The advantage here is that if people caught on, they would not be pestering you to do it to them. On the other hand, you could make a ton of money the other way. It's dirty and sleazy, but you wouldn't actually have to touch them or even see them unclothed. Story 46. At sporting events, when a tennis player is going to serve, he will make a funny yelp sound. Golfing will no longer be silent. The Women's World Cup celebrations involve them making surprised faces. Story 47. When I see someone getting yelled at, I'm going to make them climax to make them think they are a masochist, so they chase that high from getting yelled at by anyone or both people so they can start a dominant-submissive relationship. Kind of just acting like kink Cupid out here. Story 48. In the midst of a heated debate, hit you with the finger gun, bam, now everybody thinks you are a massive weirdo. Or sit in the corner of a restaurant or something similar, then air that place out not with a gun but with the finger gun, and then everybody is shocked. This is a power that cannot be used responsibly. Story 49. Yes, I would. It would be great with angry people during conflict situations and uncomfortable meetings with people who like the sound of their voices, or for a police officer at a traffic stop. There are so many applications. Story 50. I would really like to aim it at the megaphone picket sign Bible people. Wait for them to be in a particularly hateful rant, and boom, moan your pleasure for all to hear. Story 51. Make a person I hate believe they are attracted to something harmless. Just go Pavlov style. Imagine every time you use the copier at work. Pew! The confusion, the horror, the shame. But that was just a fluke, right? No, same thing the next day and the day after that, all around the same printer. Dots are connecting. Is the copier doing this? They do their best to avoid the copier, and all seems normal even if the sound of it makes them jump. But eventually, even just the sound of the printer makes them aroused. They begin to stay longer after work, experimenting with exactly how this printer is doing this. Eventually, they get caught in the act of replacing the toner by night security and are fired. And we get a new printer. Story 52. I would get a job touring around with a therapy dog, visiting palliative care units, and after they have petted the dog, I would let them go out with a bang. Obviously, after they have written me into the will on the promise of said orgasm. I'm not that charitable to do it for free. Story 53. Go to every conference where you might find an Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos and approach them at the worst possible time. I will reduce their net worth by making them outcasts. Story 54. Imagine being a preacher in a church of 300 people and saying, "All right, let's stand and pray." Everyone stands. The pastor prays. Let everyone in this building be filled with your joy. Be filled with your spirit. To just be filled with you. God, we thank you. Amen. Then the pastor says, "All right, take a pew." And 300 people gasp.